Hello and welcome back to the chapter, and boy oh boy do we have a lot to talk about this week, which, I guess not too much to talk about, but there is some really good news, and that news is we are leaving Egghead Island, and we are going to Elbaf, baby. Yes, that is right, Elbaf, the land of dreams, the land of giants, the place where Usopp should get some much needed character development, maybe a new weapon, maybe, but just like some story beats, because this is the place that he has been wanting to go for a very long time. And as such, that's kind of the most hyped thing about this chapter. Like, we get some explanations from Vegapunk's point of view, which is really interesting. We get some Sanji, like, I was gonna say lore, but not really lore so much as like a Sanji conversation with Vegapunk. It's still mainly like the chapter basically for me is just like clarification on a bunch of stuff, which to be honest, we really didn't need per se. I'm not complaining by any means, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of the things revealed in this chapter we could have intuitively guessed would have been, not everything, obviously, like definitely not everything. There is some really cool reveals as to what Vegapunk's plan always was, some things that we maybe not necessarily would have been able to put together ourselves without this flashback. But I think the bones of it is just that we find out that Vegapunk is like, he was way more ahead of this than everybody thought, to the point to where he even erased his own memory so that he could better carry this plan out. It was all really cool, really awesome. But yeah, I think we all, like, with the broadcast, I think we could have all deduced that this was on some level Vegapunk's plan. You know what I mean? But like I said, not complaining at all. I really like this chapter. The main thing that I really like I said at the beginning, is the fact that we're going to Elbaf, man. We are officially going to Elbaf. And so before I get into talking about the chapter, if that's the main thing that you wanted to know about this chapter, or you wanted to hear my commentary about this chapter, I'll just go ahead and front load that information. I really liked it. The most hype thing is that we're going to Elbaf. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it. I had a really good time as always reading this chapter. So let's go ahead and get started with it. So the cover page, well, the chapter is called One Piece Chapter 1123, The Void Fortnight. And the chapter cover page is Yamato hanging out with a bunch of kids with Denjiro. Didn't he put those kids in a net last time? Isn't that the last time we saw these people? And I mention this every time, but it's just, I don't know how to feel about Yamato. On my live stream that I did for the chapter, I couldn't stop calling Yamato Odin, because that's how much, like, Yamato's introduction has affected me. Like, I now just, like, Freudian slip, call him Odin, and it's just like, I'm a little bit frustrated with that. I explained this on my live stream. If Yamato is actually supposed to be Odin, I just would have wanted more from that story. You know what I mean? Because it just seems so not One Piece, like so not Oda, for someone to basically deny who they are and adopt someone else's personality. But at the same time, maybe this could be like, I could see myself going with it. Maybe there's something that I'm not seeing. Maybe I don't see the vision. Ultimately, we haven't gotten enough Yamato for me to actually let anybody know how I feel about this character. So far, all I know is that I really like Yamato's design. I think that there's some really cool things that we could explore about Yamato's character. I really like Yamato. I was one of the people that wanted them to join the crew. Of course, now I really want Bonnie to join the crew, so it's just like, but that's not a lot, basically. Like, I know that that's a lot of me talking about the cover page, but good God, do I want more of Wano in general? To be completely honest, I really want, we don't have to all go back to Wano, but for God's sake, Zoro has got to go back to Wano. I think Zoro should lead like a party back to go say what's up to Momonosuke. Maybe we're rallying troops for the final war. Maybe that's what's happening. Regardless, some of us need to go back to Wano. I would say, even if it's just Zoro, I would be happy, but I think more of us should go back to Wano, for sure. More of us should definitely go back. Like, again, doesn't have to be all of us. In fact, I might even be in the camp that I do not want all of us to go back to Wano. There's a lot of Straw Hats now, bro. We are running so deep. Not to mention all the people that are just on the Sunny, freeloading off of Sanji's cooking and messing with all the Frankie's inventions on the ship. You know what I'm saying? It's a crowded-ass boat right now, is why I don't know that I want the full party to return to Wano, but somebody's got to go back. That's what I think every time I see one of these cover stories. But anyway, we get into the chapter, and it starts off with the aftermath of Joy Boy's blast from the past, like all of that hockey that Joy Boy put inside of Emeth, and we see the aftermath of that. Just basically every Marine is unconscious. Even Vice Admiral Dahl and she's still in her child form, which means, damn, Bonnie's like technique is pretty OP. Like through all of that, and even them getting knocked out with Conqueror's Haki, the effects of Bonnie's Devil Fruit is still going on. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, it goes on from there, and we see Dory and Bragi looking at all of the Marines like, wow, it looks like they're all unconscious. That's pretty cool. And Luffy says, thanks for everything, Iron Giant, which my headcanon is Luffy actually just watched the Iron Giant, and he's feeling a tremendous emotional connection to Emeth. I'm not even joking. I think on the regular, they all have like movie night on the Sunny. I think it started on the Mary even. I think they watched like their favorites like Shrek and Ratatouille and Austin Powers. And I think that recently Luffy has watched the Iron Giant, and he's feeling like he's not going to be sad because he's in Gear 5 form, but he's remembering, he's like, you know what, you stay, I go. I get it. I understand. But back to the chapter. Dory and Bragi are so hyped. They hyped me up. They're like, all right, let's go. We're setting sail. We're getting out of here. Ga ba 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 ba. And all the rest of the giant pirates are like, let's go, you bastards. You heard the captains. And we see Oimo and Kashi there too, which, wow, I'm working on Innie's Lobby. It's hilarious right now. And as I'm going through the episodes to get the material for that video, it's so cool it's just so cool seeing characters from this long ago. I mean, hell, Dory and Bragi were from Little Garden, but Oimo and Kashi, a part of Innie's Lobby, one of the best arcs ever, just chilling like, who would have thought these guys would be traveling around with the other giants that we met at such a pivotal time, and now we are all going to Elbaf. The only giant that isn't here is the giant from Dressrosa. Hirudagard. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but the one that I like bonded with Usopp. I don't know, man. It's just so cool. Like if he was there, we'd have all of the giant friends that are on our side, like all taking us to Elbaf. That's such a cool thing. I don't know, man. I love it. But it's such a cool panel. Like they're setting sail, and it's like this huge panel, and it's like we're off to Elbaf, and everybody's like, yeah. And it's like that's how we all feel reading this story. It's crazy. Next, we get a bunch of panels that are all really awesome. Bonnie in her regular form, like her true form. Laying down on what I could only assume to be Kuma, which is like a whole can of worms. I'm just not even gonna get into this chapter because like, what does that mean going forward? You know what I mean? Like what's going on? It's a really sweet panel where she's just honestly just at peace, like with her father. And I'm not gonna ruin that with my, speculation and like conjecture about, what's happening with Kuma, what it means. I'm not gonna ruin this moment at all. And I think that's why it's so awesome that we just get this panel. We don't get any more I don't think anything else at all from Bonnie in this entire chapter actually. So like this is it. Like Oda just wants you to know like this is it. Not even like she gets one panel in one chapter where like everything is awesome. Like everything is the way that she would want it to be at this time. Like she gets this one moment, and I love it. Oda's such a softie, and me too, man. Me too. Like we have no idea what's gonna happen to Kuma, and just like I love that Oda gave us just this. He gave her this, and I don't know. I like it. I said I wasn't gonna harp too much on it, but I really like that panel. We go on to Zoro, I guess, just sighing in relief. Usopp is crying real tears of joy, and it just gets me so hyped. He's sitting with Chopper, and they're just both like pumped up. They're finally going to Elbaf, and it's just like I cannot wait for this for my boy Usopp. I really can't. Even if it's a bait and switch like Zoro did with Wano. Well, there were still some really cool moments in Wano for Zoro. Like the thing about that is like Zoro gets cool moments in almost every arc that he's in. You know what I mean? So we didn't really we expected like something amazing and out of this world for Zoro. Whereas with Usopp, if we give Usopp like Wano moments in Elbaf, oh my God, that's enough. That's more than he's gotten for so many arcs. You see what I'm saying? Like if Usopp gets the same level of attention that Zoro got in Wano, I think I've seen the sentiment that people like mention that as a joke, like, yeah, and that's what we thought about Zoro with Wano. But really think about that, okay? Zoro had a fight with King and he fought Kaido. He did all the stuff with like Hiyori and Yasuke and everything like that. If Usopp gets even half of that, that's a win. No matter how you look at it, that is a win going forward, considering how much we have been lacking in Usopp's, I won't say development, but I guess development, just like his story, like how he feels, what he's doing, like what's going on. Like the last big moment we got from him was in Dressrosa. And since then, he's been happily playing support ever since. Then we get what's probably my favorite panel in this whole chapter is Luffy's old ass dead body, his Gear 5 exhausted body, leaning up against Nami, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain how much I identify with this photo, but get me out of here, Nami Swan. And even though he's unconscious, you can tell Luffy's just like, just let me sleep. Unhand me, wench. Then we get a really cool part of the chapter where Sanji is talking to what I guess we can assume to be Vegapunk's corpse, and he's, you know, explaining like, you know, Vegapunk, what you said earlier, it just isn't sitting right with me, you know. But this is what starts the flashback, and basically it's this long flashback explaining how 3 of the Vegapunks, which is Stella, the main Vegapunk, Shaka, the Daft Punk Vegapunk, and then Pythagoras, I'm pretty sure, it's the big body Vegapunk, they realize that the traitor is York. And the plan that they came up with was, I don't want to say convoluted, it was 5D chess, basically. They basically like set everything in motion and then delete their memory so that York can't figure out exactly what they're doing. They place the Denden Mushi inside of Emeth, and yeah, they delete their memory, and Vegapunk leaves a note behind for himself, like after they put everything in motion. I just think this is so hilarious. Like once they come out of the memory erasing machine, Vegapunk is reading a handwritten message that he wrote to himself before he erased his memory, and it's just like, hey, the world government knows you've been looking into the Void Century. They're coming to kill you. Not much you can do about that, sorry. But this is what we should do to go forward. This is how we're gonna circumvent that. And the next thing is probably the funniest part in the entire chapter. We get Vegapunk's perspective to the Egghead Island incidents just before everything rolls out. The next panel is like people telling Stella, the main Vegapunk, this. It's like, Stella, Emperor, Straw Hat's crew, and Bonnie have just made landfall. And Vegapunk's like, what? And then the next thing is like, Cypher Pole is approaching too. He's like, what? And then the next thing is like, there's also a naval armada coming to blockade the island. He's like, what? And then the next one is, Admiral Kizaru and Elder Saint Saturn seem to be with them too. And Vegapunk's like, all right, that's the last straw. What is going on? Why? Then we get a really, really super cool part of the chapter where it's now Stella talking to Sanji, Frankie, and Atlas. And he's like, Vegapunk's basically explaining to Sanji, which I do really like this because everybody was giving Sanji shit for like, you know, yeah, you said you'd protect Vegapunk no matter what, all right? But Vegapunk is basically here telling everybody, like, listen to me, I'm going to die, that's okay, don't stop it, like, this needs to happen, basically. And Sanji's still, like, vehemently fighting it. But he says to Sanji, he says, there's one more thing I want you to know, and it's about the One Piece. And Sanji's like, what about it? And Vegapunk says, I want you guys to be the ones to find it. And the panel that we get is so awesome. It's all of the giants holding up Usopp and Luffy. I love this so much. I love this panel. It is amazing. It's the final panel in the chapter, and it's so good, man. It's so very good. Luffy is hilarious as always. He's like basically on death's door. I love the drawback that his gear forms like give him whenever he first learns them. Who knows how long we're gonna have this? I hope not long, but also at the same time, like, we just got Gear 5. I'm okay with these limitations, like, you know, but this is just so funny. He's an old ass man, just withered out, like dying, and he's just like, oh, hang on, stop, we can do this. We can do this later. Please put me down. Like, they're hip hooray only Luffy and Usopp, and I love that. Usopp is just like so fired up. He's like, woo, we are off to the land of my dreams, elbaf. And it's like, no matter what happens from this point on, I love that, like, it is acknowledged right here before we get to the island. Because before we went to Wano, we could have got an acknowledgement from Zoro of some kind, like the land of samurai. What will I do when I get there? Something like that. We didn't get any of that, you know? I think that's for a very good reason that we didn't get any of that. But with this, it's basically, it's not even Oda telling us this. This is the character Usopp that is just so well written. It's come to life at this point. This is the character Usopp proclaiming, like, this is like a big moment for me, okay? This is a big moment for all of us, but like, I don't know what's gonna happen there. Like, this is Usopp. Like, that's another thing. Like, think about this. This is Usopp, the person that's afraid of literally everything. He knows that this is the island of dreams, of the island of his dreams. This is the island of giants. But like, this is probably like the danger that is lurking here. Like, come on, man. Like, that, for that to not even be going through his mind in this moment, that's a big thing, dude. That's a big thing. I have no doubt that that's probably, his sentiments probably gonna change whenever he's confronted with danger, at least initially. It would be cool if it didn't, if he actually met like resolve, if he met problems with like more resolve than he had up until this point. But if you remember when the giants got to the island, his resolve changed like immediately. As soon as he saw Dory and Broggy, he started crying and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And he was like, all right, no, like I can't be a sniveling, like cowardly member of the weakling trio. I can't do that anymore. My mentors are here. And so he immediately, in my eyes, he changes like right there. Like he still like cries tears of fear in like the chapters that go on, because again, he's not like, no matter how much bravery you get in a moment, unless like, or even with a lot of adrenaline, like you know, Usopp's a real character. He's so well written. He's like a real person. So like he can't like will the fear away. And that's what bravery is. You know what I'm saying? Like he's very like afraid, but he's gonna persevere. So it's literally like, it's just like, I don't know, man. I think Totally Not Mark explained this in one of his videos. Like, we love characters like Luffy and Zoro, but like they're also kind of like insane. So like Luffy's not going to be afraid of a lot of things that will actually kill him. Like he's dead. Look no further than the fact that like the one thing that can kill him is water. And he falls in water so much, like so much, without a care in the world. He's kind of insane. No fear at all. Not to say that nothing makes Luffy afraid. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we could throw in some character motivation or some character things that, you know, I'm sure he's afraid of losing his friends, like shit like that, sure. But like a character like Usopp, much more realistic and grounded, afraid of like almost everything. You know, in this world is scary to be in, bro. If you don't have powers, Usopp's just a dude with a slingshot. But I would be terrified, okay? I would be terrified too. On God, I'd be clocking out of work before I even stepped in the door, to be honest. Every day I showed up as a Straw Hat Pirate, I'd be looking around like, all right, so what are you gonna do about that? Because I've got a slingshot. There's not much I can do about it. You know what I'm saying? So for him to like, he's always the person before we go to a new island, he's like to like be the downer, like maybe we shouldn't go there, okay? It's gonna be too dangerous or whatever. Like, nah, man, not this time. So yeah. I love this chapter. I love this final panel. I loved it. I cannot wait. And we're out of Egghead. I feel like it's official. There's no break next week, so I'm really looking forward to what we're about to learn. Yeah, we're out of Egghead. That's inspired me to do another video. I want to give like every member of the Straw Hats, at least, maybe even other people on Egghead, I want to give them like report cards. Okay, that's going to be a whole other video that I do. Maybe even the next video that comes out while I'm working on Eni's Lobby, and also the next part of Kakashi is Hilarious, because I hate how long I let that series go. So I've already got the Kakashi is Hilarious written. So I might bust that out before even Eni's Lobby. But I think the next video, just like as like a casual one, we'll do like the Egghead Island report cards. I want to like, you know, see how each Straw Hat and, you know, maybe even other characters like Kizaru and stuff, like, you know, how they did, you know, grade them on like a letter grade system, and then at the end of it, give my definitive MVP of Egghead Island. That is what I'm going to do. And the thing you should know about me, as I'll explain in the video, whenever I do things like this, like my report cards, it's always going to be character based. Like I'm not like power scaling and like none of that. I don't give a damn about any of that. I've said this many times. Power scaling in a world where Monkey D. Luffy is running around punching people as a Looney Tune, you're playing a fool's game at that point, dude. Like that's what Doflamingo tried to do. That's what Kaido tried to do. Big-bodied Kaido, the person who skips leg day every day in his life, the person that is so buff he doesn't even need to use his legs. He can literally just drag it behind him, walking on his knuckles like he's some kind of disabled pit bull. That is Kaido, and that's what he brought power scaling to that fight, and was so sorely mistaken that he thought that was ever gonna do anything to this lunatic. So power scaling in general, like we can do it, it's possible. Oda has implemented hard rules in this universe that makes power scaling not only very, very possible, but very, very fun. I'm just saying, for me, it's gonna be rare for me to ever seriously get on here and be like, yeah, this character is definitely stronger than this character. I swear to God, there's a way each and every one of these people could beat somebody. Like, I swear to God, even like you put Usopp up against Lucci, under the right circumstances, Usopp's just gonna push that pussycat into the water. He's gonna push him right into the ocean and then be like, I did it, I won. Would that happen? Would Usopp ever fight like that? Probably not, but hell, if I was Usopp, I would, okay? And so that's why I would be like, you know, I don't put it past Oda to write a situation where that happens somehow, where it's believable, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he accidentally pushes Lucci into the water. You know what I'm saying? It's just, It's not like other shonen, so I'm never gonna be focused on the power scaling. You know, I might, not to say I won't dabble in it, sure, you know, I'll entertain it. But when I give these report cards in the video that's gonna come out for Egghead, it's gonna be like character based. So I'm gonna look at character moments, I'm gonna look at, you know, who did the most, you know, like who did, and that's gonna be another thing, like who did the most, like who put up the most points as far as like what helped the Straw Hats get off of Egghead, what helped them survive, like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? There could even be like a point system, like, you know, did you win your 1v1? You know what I'm saying? Egghead Island's kind of hard for that though, because like everybody was kind of fighting everybody, but whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, a couple of things before we get out of here. I said in the live stream that I did for this chapter, I have a Twitch now. I'll have that in the description, but please consider following that because I'm going to be doing videos for my Patreon, and then whenever I just want to play games, and Twitch is going to be just for gaming. And the next Patreon video that we're going to be doing is going to be Kingdom Hearts. It's going to be very, very fun, and so it's going to be like an actual video that comes out for this channel, but I'm going to be on Twitch playing through all of the games. So if you want to be on Twitch and be a part of the chat and be a part of the clips that I'm going to get to construct the video, the hilarious video that I'm going to put out on this channel, then go ahead, consider hopping on my Twitch and waiting for me there. I think we're gonna start that next week, but I'll be posting updates on it, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I can't wait for that. Kingdom Hearts is like, boy, does that series mean a lot to me, and boy, I can't even get into that right now. This isn't the place to get into that right now, okay? But if you would like to be a part of that and anything future that happens, please consider checking out the Twitch. I'm really excited about it. Like even if there's like 4 people in there, bro, I'm gonna be just like, I love playing games so much, and I love Kingdom Hearts so much, and yeah, whatever. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, consider that. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, as always. I thank you to my channel members, as always. You guys are awesome. And the very, very last thing I want to say before I go is there was a comment on the live stream that we did. I'll put it on the screen. Chapter reviews should henceforth be called Chapter Yapters. You know, because we read the chapter and then we yap about it. I just love that. I think whoever wrote that comment, I think you're a genius. I might start doing that. I want to give you your credit for it, so that's how I want to close out this video. So yeah, the chapter yapter for One Piece chapter 1123, that was this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being interested, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.